guys, how's it going? I'm back with another 10 metal bands you haven't heard but should. Hopefully some way more underground stuff in here as well, which might apply or be enjoyed by some of you guys who may know some of the other stuff I've been doing. So first up off the bat, an album that is currently in my CD player. I'm listening to it a hell of a lot. It's honestly mind-blowing, is the new Gardsghastr with a Slit Throat Requiem on Profound Law Records. It's quite hard to see, but it's got this just stunning medieval dungeon-dwelling black metal sound. Not too unlike bands like Vargrav doing the whole Emperor Worship thing, but Gardsghastr do it in a way where the synths feel more like they're done by someone who's into dungeon synth rather than just following the melodies of the music as much. So it's stunning if you want to sort of feel like you're in some castle dungeon listening to black metal. That's the band to do it with. Next, for fans of old school death metal, like, you know, Death, Bolt Thrower, all the classics, UK band Blasphemer with Lust of the Goat on Grind Scene Records. Really good, just straightforward death metal, great musicianship, good production. It's probably not as out there as some of the stuff I put on here, but I think who doesn't like classic death metal? Why not check out a great underground UK band? Next up on tape, following my binges and binges of speed metal, is the brand new Barbarian album, which is out next month on Hell's Headbangers. The art and tape are both this really nice sort of rich purple colour, so it's got that it's really well thought out. Hell's Headbangers always do a good job of making sure it looks cool. Art's by Shagrat, who does art for Acid Witch as well, which is noteworthy. One of the few artists I'm really bad at remembering names, but I really love how this looks. And if you like stuff that's, you know, speedy, blacky thrash, check out Barbarian from, I believe, Italy. Next up, Finnish death metal is some of the most disturbingly cavernous, evil and atmospheric death metal you will hear, and that is definitely applicable to Krypts with their new album Cadaver Circulation on Dark Descent Records. The artwork sums up how it feels. It's swampy, it's evil, it's mysterious, and it's just so damn good. Like everything else from Krypts, it's their third full length. Really should be on anyone who takes death metal seriously's list, like it, you know, fans of Blood Incantation, all that kind of stuff, and fans of other Scandinavian, well, Finland's not Scandinavia, but let's not get into that, but fans of bands, you know, like Hyperdontia and stuff, other Dark Descent bands, check out Krypts with a K. Next up is another of my favourite releases so far this year on Iron Bonehead. It's following what I said about Gardsghastr, but while that does apply, maybe in terms of how it feels, how it sounds is still very different, is Cale X with Vientos Archaikos. I probably butchered that, on Iron Bonehead Records, or Productions rather. It has a real 90s South American kind of feel. The band are from Spain, so maybe it's that sort of Latin language thing maybe. But, you know, again, it's just got such a dark, rich atmosphere. It's textured, it's great, it's got stunning artwork. I really like the aesthetic of it. It's certainly worth a listen for fans of black metal from back in the day, like Mystifier and stuff. Next up, a couple of 7-inches. So I got these, both bands are playing, and I'm seeing both of them, so I was like, well, I need them in my collection. So both releases on Meisaku and Ogjo. First up is Deiquisitor, who play this really like storming, deathy, thrashy kind of assault. It's almost got a war metal kind of level of violence and rawness to it that's just absolutely barbaric. It's awesome. It suits the artwork. It makes you want to mutatedly crawl through some farm swamp thing. Check out Deiquisitor with Sword of Pestilence on Meisaku and Ogjo Records. Next up, as mentioned on the same label, Meisaku and Ogjo, is Cryptworm with 3 tracks of their Verminosis EP. Really good old school death metal, filthy, evil, crushing. I mean, look at the art, you can tell what you're going to get with that, and what you're going to get is good. Now for some slightly more out there death metal, another Profound Law release. I really like this album, which is called Permanent Destitution by Hissing. with a very readable logo. It's got this really nasty look and feel, which applies to the music. It's quite undescribable in that it's not like how you imagine sort of the whole cavernous death metal, as people affectionately call it. It's really weird. It's kind of got this dystopian vibe to the instruments that I really liked. I found it in quite a mainstream shop that people in England will know, HMV, which I guess would be like the equivalent of finding it in Best Buy in the States. It's a really weird kind of thing to just see somewhere where most people will go for, you know, cheap shit horror films and like, you know, pop music and stuff. So I was really happy to come across this. I generally try and buy from small record stores. I always buy shit from labels and distros. But if I see something like this just sat there, who the hell am I to say no? Next up, from Testimony Records, I need to look how this is said. Escarnium with Inheritors Fucking hell. That is really good. Mix of like Hate Eternal type kind of crushing death metal assaults with smooth production, and then some slower doomier parts, especially in the latter half of the album. I really like this. It's on Testimony Records, and I found it in my local record shop, Beatniks, for like £4, which again like $4-5 dollars. So I was like, saw the art, saw it was on a label I like, checked it out. Really damn good death metal. So check out Escarnium. And finally is the biggest release on this list in terms of record label. It's a Metal Blade release. It's Portrait. They're really good. This album's called Burn the World. It's got this, how I talked about Attic a while ago with their sort of King Diamond, Merciful Fate worship, kind of like the band Hell. It's just got these high vocals, like old school 80s guitars, blistering leads. It's just got all that classic stuff. So if you're into your classic heavy metal, check out Portrait on Metal Blade Records. It's not as extreme, it's not as underground, it's not as weird as this other stuff, but you know, you cannot knock the classics, so check out Portrait. That was another 10 metal bands you haven't heard but should. I've started ordering stuff for the next one. I'm always buying, like, I'll get press kits in, I'll review the albums, I like the albums, and then buy them, because I like to hoard, or no, it's not hoarding, it's collecting these albums that I enjoy so much, and then it also means I have something to show you guys rather than just sitting here talking. I do have a Patreon. While I don't really plug it or anything, if you want to throw in like $1 or $2, if it's a one-time thing, monthly, whatever, I appreciate it. There's no perks or any of that stuff. It's just if you want to throw me $1 or $2 that I can put towards records and keep these videos going without it softening, maybe it'll soften the blow on my bank account, but you know, if you don't, that's fine. I'm still going to keep doing these anyway, so plug over, go and check out these records. I don't care if you support me, but do support these bands, because they're the ones who deserve it, who are putting the hard work, as I would ask you to do with my bands if you enjoy my bands. But yeah, check this stuff out, it's worth it. These bands deserve the listens, and all of them have, you know, Bandcamp and stuff. So yeah, thanks for watching. Stay brutal.